Story 1. It was an ordinary Friday evening when I found myself descending the crumbling staircase into the depths of an abandoned subway station. The city's once bustling transportation hub had long been forgotten, its tunnels sealed off and erased from the city's maps. But a chance encounter with an old-timer in a dimly lit bar had piqued my curiosity, and now, I was about to uncover a true nighttime horror that would haunt my dreams. The station, known as Lapid Air Station on the faded sign overhead, was a time capsule of a bygone era. Dust-covered benches lined the platform, their upholstery torn and frayed. Graffiti covered the cracked tiles, a testament to the urban explorers who had ventured here before me. The air was thick with a musty odor, and the dim, flickering lights cast eerie shadows that seemed to dance with a life of their own. I had been told that Lapid Air Station was cursed, a place where strange and sinister events had unfolded in the past. The stories were vague, whispered rumors of ghostly apparitions and unexplained disappearances. I brushed them off as urban legends, eager to uncover the truth behind the station's eerie reputation. As I wandered deeper into the tunnels, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The walls seemed to close in on me, the oppressive darkness pressing in from all sides. The distant sound of dripping water echoed through the tunnels, creating an eerie symphony that sent shivers down my spine. It was then that I saw her, a young woman standing at the far end of the platform, her back turned to me. She wore a tattered, white dress that billowed in the stale subway breeze. My heart skipped a beat as I called out to her, but she remained motionless, as if frozen in time. I approached cautiously, my footsteps echoing in the empty station. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice trembling. With a slow, deliberate turn, the woman faced me, her features obscured by long, disheveled hair that hung like a curtain over her face. She reached out a trembling hand, her fingers pale and ghostly. As she brushed her hair aside, her eyes met mine, empty voids of darkness that seemed to pierce through my very soul. I stumbled back in terror, the woman's gaze never leaving me. In that moment, I realized I was not alone. Shadows moved in the corners of the station, shapeless forms that seemed to converge on the platform. Whispers filled the air, their words indecipherable, but filled with a haunting sorrow. With a burst of adrenaline, I turned and ran, my footsteps echoing through the tunnels as I fled from the cursed station. The whispers grew louder, the shadows closing in, and I could feel their icy fingers brushing against my skin. As I emerged back into the city's bustling streets, I looked back at the sealed entrance to Lapid Air Station, my heart still pounding. The memory of that night would forever haunt me, a chilling reminder that some places are best left abandoned, and that the true nighttime horror lies not in the darkness itself but in the secrets it conceals. Weeks passed after my harrowing encounter at Lapid Air Station, but the memory of that night continued to plague my thoughts. I became obsessed with uncovering the truth behind the station's dark history, delving into old newspapers and city records, seeking any clue that might shed light on the mysterious occurrences that had transpired there. One evening, as I sifted through a pile of dusty archives at the local library, I stumbled upon a faded newspaper article dated nearly a century ago. The headline sent a chill down my spine: "Tragedy strikes Lapid Air Station. Scores feared lost in mysterious incident." The article described a catastrophic event that had taken place on the very platform where I had encountered the ghostly woman. According to the newspaper, a crowded subway car had suddenly derailed and crashed onto the platform, resulting in a massive pileup of twisted metal and injured passengers. The incident had occurred late at night, and the station had been eerily deserted at the time. Rescue teams had rushed to the scene, but the damage was so extensive that many of the victims had been trapped in the wreckage for hours. The article detailed the frantic efforts to rescue the survivors, but it also hinted at something more sinister. Witnesses reported hearing strange, otherworldly voices in the darkness, and some claimed to have seen shadowy figures moving among the wreckage. As I read on, I couldn't help but wonder if these reports were connected to the eerie whispers and apparitions I had encountered during my visit to the station. Intrigued and determined to uncover the full story, I continued my research, uncovering more accounts of unexplained events and eerie sightings at the Lapid Air Station throughout the years. It seemed that the station had a dark and troubled history, one that extended far beyond the tragic subway derailment. As my obsession deepened, I began to explore the subway's underground network of tunnels, convinced that there must be some hidden chamber or forgotten passage that held the key to the station's mysteries. Armed with a flashlight and a sense of trepidation, I ventured into the depths of the abandoned subway system, my every footstep echoing through the darkness. The tunnels stretched on endlessly, their walls covered in layers of graffiti that told a story of urban decay and forgotten dreams. I encountered remnants of the city's past, a rusted turnstile, a broken ticket booth, and faded advertisements from a bygone era. It was as if time had stood still in this subterranean realm, frozen in a perpetual state of neglect. As I explored deeper into the tunnels, I came across a section of the subway that seemed to have been sealed off from the rest of the network. The walls were lined with concrete barriers, and a heavy metal door stood at the end of the corridor. Curiosity got the best of me, and I approached the door, determined to uncover the secrets that lay beyond. To my surprise, the door was unlocked, and I cautiously pushed it open. The chamber that lay beyond was a stark contrast to the decaying subway tunnels. It was pristine and well maintained, its walls adorned with intricate murals and symbols that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. At the center of the chamber stood an ornate pedestal, upon which rested an ancient tome bound in leather and bound by chains. As I approached the tome, a sense of unease washed over me. It radiated a malevolent aura, and the symbols on its pages seemed to shift and writhe as if they were alive. The temptation to open it was irresistible, and with trembling hands, I unbound the chains and began to decipher the cryptic text. The words on the pages spoke of a forbidden ritual, a dark and ancient ceremony that had been performed in the depths of the Lapid Air Station. It was said to be a pact with malevolent forces, a bid for power and immortality that had gone horribly wrong. The subway derailment had been a consequence of the ritual, a catastrophic event that had unleashed a curse upon the station and its passengers. As I read on, I realized that I had stumbled upon a grim revelation, a revelation that I was now a part of the curse that had plagued the Lapid Air Station for generations. The whispers and apparitions I had encountered were the tormented spirits of those who had been ensnared by the ritual, their restless souls condemned to haunt the station for eternity. The realization filled me with a deep sense of dread, but I knew that I couldn't turn back. I had to find a way to break the curse, to free the trapped souls and put an end to the horrors of the Lapid Air Station once and for all. With the Forbidden Tome in hand, I embarked on a journey to uncover the lost knowledge and secrets that would allow me to confront the malevolent forces that had taken root in the abandoned subway. Days turned into weeks, and my research became an all-consuming obsession. I sought out experts in the occult and delved into ancient texts, determined to uncover the means to banish the curse from the Lapid Air Station. The more I learned, the more I realized the magnitude of the task before me. To break the curse, I would need to perform a counter-ritual, one that required rare and elusive ingredients, incantations in a forgotten tongue, and an unwavering resolve. It was a perilous journey into the unknown, and I knew that I would be risking my own life in the process. As I gathered the necessary components and prepared for the ritual, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. The shadows seemed to close in around me, and the whispers of the tormented spirits grew louder, their voices filled with desperation and anger. They were aware of my presence, and they did not intend to let me succeed in my quest. The night of the ritual arrived, and I made my way back to the Lapid Air Station, the Forbidden Tome in hand. The chamber with the ornate pedestal awaited me, its symbols pulsating with a sinister energy. With every step I took, the air grew colder, and the whispers of the spirits became a deafening cacophony. I began the ritual, the incantations flowing from my lips in a language I barely understood. The room seemed to come alive with malevolent energy, and the symbols on the walls glowed with an eerie light. It was a battle of wills, a struggle between the forces of darkness and my own determination to break the curse. As the ritual reached its climax, a blinding light filled the chamber, and the spirits' cries reached a fever pitch. I could feel their presence surrounding me, their anger and anguish threatening to consume me. But I pressed on, my resolve unwavering. With a final incantation, I sealed the malevolent forces back into the Forbidden Tome, their screams echoing in my ears. The symbols on the walls faded, and the chamber returned to its dormant state. The curse of the Lapid Air Station had been broken, and the tormented souls were finally free. Exhausted and shaken, I left the subway tunnels behind, the memory of that night forever etched in my mind. The Lapid Air Station had been a place of true nighttime horror, a cursed and forgotten realm that had ensnared the souls of the past. But I had confronted the darkness and emerged victorious, a testament to the enduring power of human determination and the courage to confront the unknown. As I looked back at the sealed entrance to the Lapid Air Station, I knew that the horrors of that cursed place would never be forgotten. But I also knew that its secrets had been revealed, and that the restless spirits could finally find the peace they had been denied for so long. The memory of that night would forever serve as a reminder that even in the darkest of places, there is hope for redemption and closure. Story 2. Darkness has always held a certain allure for me, a magnetic pull that beckons to my curiosity. I've always been drawn to the eerie, the unexplained, and the supernatural. So, when I had the opportunity to spend a night in an old, abandoned mansion with a chilling history, I couldn't resist. Little did I know that this nocturnal adventure would thrust me into a spine-tingling encounter with the unknown. It all began with an invitation from a friend, Sarah, who shared my passion for the paranormal. She had heard whispers about the old Thornton Mansion, a dilapidated, centuries-old house that stood on the outskirts of town. The mansion had a reputation for being haunted, and it had been the site of countless eerie occurrences over the years. Sarah had come across a local legend that piqued our interest. Every year, on the anniversary of the mansion's abandonment, it was said that the spirits within became more active, and strange phenomena occurred at night. This year, that fateful night was approaching, and Sarah had managed to secure permission for us to spend the night inside the mansion. She promised it would be an experience we'd never forget. The history of the old Thornton Mansion was a tragic one. It had once belonged to a wealthy family, the Thorntons, who had fallen from grace due to financial ruin. Legend had it that in their desperation, they dabbled in the occult, performing dark rituals in the hope of reversing their fortune. The mansion was abandoned after a series of mysterious deaths within the family, leaving behind a legacy of misery and despair. As the sun dipped below the horizon and darkness descended upon the mansion, Sarah and I entered the ominous structure, our flashlights cutting through the thick, inky blackness. The air was heavy with the scent of decay and the weight of centuries of secrets. The mansion's interior was a maze of creaking floorboards, peeling wallpaper, and long-forgotten furniture. As we explored, we could feel an eerie chill that had nothing to do with the weather. It was as if the very walls were listening, watching, and waiting. Hours passed, and the night grew darker. We set up our equipment, a digital voice recorder, night vision cameras, and an electromagnetic field, EMF, detector, in the hope of capturing evidence of the supernatural. As we conducted our investigation, I began to feel an overwhelming sense of unease. Shadows seemed to dance at the edges of my vision, and faint whispers echoed through the corridors. Sarah, too, was affected. Her usually steady voice wavered as she spoke into the voice recorder, asking questions to any entities that might be present. And then, as if in response, we heard it, an eerie, ethereal whisper, faint but distinct, "Leave." Despite the chilling encounter, we pressed on, our curiosity overriding our fear. As the night deepened, the mansion's atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. Strange symbols adorned the walls, and the air grew thick with an otherworldly energy. We decided to conduct a séance, hoping to establish communication with whatever spirits dwelled within the mansion. We lit candles and placed our hands on an antique Ouija board, and as we began to ask questions, the planchette moved of its own accord, spelling out cryptic messages that sent shivers down our spines. The room seemed to grow colder, and the shadows gathered around us, closing in like malevolent specters. We realized with growing dread that we were not alone in the darkness. Suddenly, the mansion was alive with activity. Doors slammed shut, pictures flew off the walls, and disembodied voices filled the air. The EMF detector spiked erratically, and our cameras captured fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures that seemed to materialize out of thin air. We tried to flee, but the exit seemed impossibly distant, as if the mansion itself had shifted to keep us trapped. Panic set in as we realized that we were at the mercy of forces we could not comprehend. Sarah's voice trembled as she muttered a prayer for protection, but it was drowned out by the cacophony of supernatural activity. With no other choice, we retraced our steps, trying to find our way back to the entrance. The mansion seemed to resist our efforts, its malevolence growing stronger with each step. The whispering shadows closed in, their voices rising to a deafening crescendo. As we finally burst out into the moonlit night, the mansion's malevolent presence seemed to recede. We stumbled through the overgrown garden, our hearts pounding, until we were safely beyond its cursed walls. Sarah and I never returned to the old Thornton Mansion. The experience had left us shaken, our belief in the supernatural forever solidified. We had glimpsed a world beyond our understanding, one where malevolent forces could lurk in the shadows, waiting to torment those who dared to intrude. To this day, I cannot explain the horrors we witnessed that night, nor can I forget the chilling whisper that still haunts my dreams. The old Thornton Mansion remains a place of unsolved mysteries and unanswered questions, a testament to the enduring power of the unknown that lingers in the darkest corners of the night. Story 3. I had always been drawn to the eerie and mysterious, so when I heard rumors of a traveling carnival that only appeared under the cover of night, I couldn't resist the temptation to investigate. It was said that the carnival offered bizarre and otherworldly attractions, and that those who ventured inside were forever changed. Little did I know that I was about to step into a world of true nighttime horror. The carnival arrived in our small town on a moonless night, as if materializing out of thin air. Its entrance was marked by a faded, tattered banner that simply read, "The Midnight Circus." The air was heavy with anticipation as I approached, the haunting strains of an old calliope drifting through the darkness. The carnival was unlike any I had ever seen. Its rides were decrepit and ancient, creaking and groaning as they moved. The stalls were filled with oddities, shrunken heads, jars of preserved creatures, and eerie artifacts that defied explanation. But the most unsettling of all were the performers, masked and silent. They moved with an unnatural grace, their eyes hidden behind hollow, empty sockets. I was inexplicably drawn to a tent at the far end of the carnival, its entrance adorned with a sign that read, "The Hall of Mirrors." Inside, the mirrors distorted reality in unsettling ways, twisting and contorting my reflection until I no longer recognized myself. As I moved deeper into the maze of mirrors, I felt a growing sense of unease, as if I was being watched by unseen eyes. It was then that I heard a voice, a soft, melodic whisper that seemed to come from all around me. "Welcome to our world," it murmured. I spun around, my heart pounding, but there was no one there. The voice continued, guiding me through the maze, each mirror revealing a new and horrifying reflection. I stumbled upon a mirror that showed a nightmarish version of the carnival, a place of twisted horrors and grotesque deformities. Another mirror revealed a vision of myself, but with empty, soulless eyes. I realized with growing dread that the mirrors were showing me glimpses of a parallel reality, a nightmarish reflection of the world I knew. As I attempted to escape the Hall of Mirrors, the walls seemed to close in around me, the mirrors multiplying and distorting my surroundings. Panic set in as I lost all sense of direction, my own reflection mocking me from every angle. I could hear the whispers growing louder, their voices filled with malevolent glee. Just as I thought I was doomed to be trapped in the Hall of Mirrors forever, a figure emerged from the shadows, A masked performer with a lantern in hand. With a swift motion, the performer shattered one of the mirrors, creating a blinding flash of light. I shielded my eyes, and when I looked again, I was standing outside the tent, the carnival now silent and still. The masked performer removed their mask to reveal a face filled with sadness and regret. "You were fortunate," they said. "Many who enter the Hall of Mirrors are never seen again." I fled from the cursed carnival, my heart still racing, and as I looked back one last time, I saw it vanish into the night, as if it had never existed. The memory of that night would haunt me forever, a reminder that there are places where the line between reality and nightmare blurs, and where true nighttime horror can become an inescapable trap for those who dare to explore the darkness.